Hello, welcome. For the next few minutes, I want to take you through an examination of the past, the present, and the future, the promise of Grace Baptist Church, a congregation seeking to serve the 21st century. I hope that your review of this video will move you towards becoming a participant, towards making a commitment to the life of this ministry. Because God is doing a great move here at Grace, and it will be a historical move, and generations will rise up and call us blessed. So come on, let's go. The essence of Grace Baptist Church has never rested in its material facilities. As a matter of fact, it was not material facilities that launched this ministry. It was faith. Faith by 5 African-American women who were presumably slaves, former slaves, who based on their faith organized this church and first met in rented facilities in Willard Hall here in Old Mount Vernon. Since that coming to Willard Hall, they did venture to build our first facility, which was in 1894, the chapel, the Grace Chapel, on what at that time was Old 8th Avenue. Eventually, the building was moved to 5th Avenue in Mount Vernon. However, they continued to worship there until 1939, when a fire took that building. They built that church, as a matter of fact, 1894 for $3,000. 1939, after the fire came, they rented the facilities of what was then the First Presbyterian Church here in Mount Vernon, which is our current location. After 1939, they bought this facility. And to buy that facility at that time was a great venture of faith, because we did not have enough members to fill up the chapel in the wintertime, and didn't have resources to provide heat for the big, huge sanctuary in the winter. However, they continued to prevail, trusting God. As the congregation grew, God blessed the work, and we grew into the current facility in 1939. In 1975, a new white facade was put on the old building and a minor renovation. However, the major renovation took place in 1986. In 1986, a $3.2 million restoration and addition to the current complex. The building was gutted, and all new electricity and plumbing, partitions, all the wood in the sanctuary, all the bathrooms replaced, all the walls replaced, a total gutting of the 1906 building built in 1906 by the Presbyterian Church. In addition to that, as we came to the Centennial and beyond, we built the North building, which is the Worship Arts Center, which includes the Music Center and a chapel theater in honor of the 5 women. So that has been our development from the standpoint of facilities. But be sure that we understand that facilities have always simply been a tool in the life of this church to foster our faith, to do ministry, to transform human lives. It is obvious that Grace has evolved into what it is today after 123 years. However, the journey depicts that every time we grew and our needs increased, the congregation stood up to the challenge and built whatever was necessary to advance it on to where it is. We are at that critical juncture right now, today, a crossroads. We are being challenged today like never before because we have had unprecedented growth. We have seen the numbers of our congregation increase, not only the numbers of our congregation, but the expansion of our ministries. These buildings that we use now are full 7 days a week, available for the transformation of human life and the spread of the gospel of Jesus Christ, 7 days a week. We find ourselves at a place where there is not adequate programming space for the expansive ministries of our church. And then the center activity of the week is very challenged. We've run out of space in the sanctuary. We have 3 services now. which is not great efficiency, nor does it provide the kind of worship unity that we need. We need to be able to come together as near as possible as one congregation. 3 congregations is hard to maintain a single identity. So our facilities are inadequate for our growth. In the last several months, we have seen more than 350 members join this congregation. Unprecedented growth that God is using and making ways. And so here's where we are. We're at a place where we've got to rise to the challenge like our forebears. It is not foreign to us. It is in the DNA of this congregation to rise up and do what's necessary. And I am certain that we will. So if anyone asks the question, do we need a bigger sanctuary, a larger facility? It ought to be obvious by now that we really do. And we will achieve the acquisition of one. Nobody greater, no, nobody greater than you. If you look over my shoulder, you can see the 3 empty lots that are the future of our church. 3 lots that we now own. 7th Avenue lot, where there existed a building that we tore down. On the corner of the gas station that we tore down and cleaned the soil. And then the 3rd and the final lot currently will become the place where our new sanctuary will be erected. You see the existing building as it joins this lot. When this complex is finished, there'll be over 100,000 square feet of space that will be gathered for us to conduct this regional ministry. The existing building will be reconfigured, will become our family life center. In the sanctuary will be the new banquet hall, an expanded bookstore, other configurations to accommodate a new kitchen, and other things to help make this complex complete as it seeks to be a tool for ministry for the 21st century. We have done everything that needs to be done up until this point. We've purchased the land, we've demolished the gas station, we've cleaned the soil, we've purchased the existing property, we own all the land. We've met all of the requirements of the city of Mount Vernon for a building permit to be issued. We have a building permit. And so the next step is up to us to generate interest, enthusiasm, and commitment to build this new cathedral to the glory of God. This is not a minor undertaking, but we are ready for it by faith and a God who is able to make provision for us to see it through. Now join me for a moment. Let me solicit your imagination. Can you see the new Grace Cathedral? The place where we will gather, where our families will come, where our children will be raised, where new learning about Jesus Christ will take place? Can you see the erection of this marvelous facility? This facility that will have 3-tier sanctuary, a grand organ where Wesley Reynoso will sit at the organ under the direction of Derek James, where the great cathedral choir will sing. Can you see our families interchanging with each other in the Christian education complex, or the new media center? Or can you see the fountain outside of the entrance of the sanctuary? Can you see it now? Can you see the promise and the future? Can you look with faith, with eyes of faith, with spiritual eyes, and see the promise that God has given us? The kind of spiritual sight and imagination that it must have taken for those 5 women who started Grace in 1888, built a new organization that has flourished over these 123 years to be the Grace that we know today. What a marvelous opportunity has been given to us to be faithful to the legacy of those women, but not only those women, the legacy of the deacons and trustees, pastors and choir members and ushers and Sunday school teachers, all who have poured their lives into this congregation over the last 123 years. And now today, they represent our past and we represent their future. So we ask that you join me in understanding that God is at work in this place and new things are about to happen and you are a part of God's creation. The theme of this year's campaign is Rise Up and Build. It flows from the Nehemiah passage. The Nehemiah passage talks about Nehemiah's commitment in spite of critics suggesting that he give up. In spite of the enormity of the task, Nehemiah is committed to rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, to restoring the city. And that is the biblical text that inspires us in this campaign. We believe that no matter what distractors, no matter how big the task may seem, that with faith in God and a persistent work and commitment on our parts, we can rebuild the walls and meet the physical needs of this current generation. Let me tell you, the challenge to do this belongs only to us. We cannot look to anybody else. We cannot look for a government grant or foundation grant. God has placed it within our capacity, the people of this congregation, to provide the resources to build the new grace. And I am sure that we will meet that challenge. The plan for building our new cathedral is a plan that involves 100% of the congregation. God has blessed us in diverse ways with diverse gifts. Some of us have talents that are diverse. Some of us have financial resources. We have been blessed with diverse gifts. And so I asked you this day to look into yourself and see what it is that you can bring to help get us where we're going. It's not equal gifts, but it's equal sacrifice. And I know that if every one of us does his or her part, we will be able to accomplish that which God has placed in our hands to accomplish. Nobody will be asked to do more than his or her share, but only all of us will do our share. If 100% of us participate, this mountain will be climbed. This challenge will be met. And so I ask you to join those of us who are already committed in the campaign around the theme of the ABCs. Answer the call, believe the vision, and commit our gifts. That, we believe, if each person focuses on that within the scope of their own contextual resources, we will get victory. Because the truth is, we're not just setting out to raise a down payment for the new cathedral. We're setting out to raise the money to build the cathedral. So we're calling for a high level of sacrifice. There's going to be there will be a brochure that you will probably read today that describes the giving challenge, where you can find your place. But there's a place for every person, the smallest child, the most senior adult. There's a place for all of us in this campaign. I hope that you will accept your place in this important effort that God is doing in this historical moment. It's been my pleasure to talk to you for these few moments, but I make this offering as an attempt to get your attention, to invite you to be a part of what God is doing at Grace, to be able to plant trees that you will not sit under, or that you may not sit under, but other generations will come and find shade under the trees that we've planted in this generation, as we have found shade under the trees of those who were here before us, those who now sleep in the silent city, who passed to this generation the baton of leadership and service. They passed it to us. Let us not back away from it, but let us run the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith.